everybody. So Lou, I might get you to, great, fantastic. So you'll just get the little pop-up there. So like I say, welcome. So number 7, my name is Ali Fowler. I'm a nurse manager for cultural and quality initiatives, and I work in the nursing and midwifery practice and workforce unit for South East Sydney Local Health District. And I'm here with my colleagues who will introduce themselves. So over to Jules.
Hi everyone, I'm Jules Aquilina. I also work in the Nursing Midwifery District team in the role of Nurse Manager for Cultural and Quality Initiatives.
Hi everyone, my name is Louise Connolly, for those of you who don't know me, and I also work in the same team, and I'm currently in the role of a midwife mentor facilitator, rolling out a mentorship program for midwives currently at the moment.
Great, thanks, Lou. So mostly it's going to be Jules and I here, and Lou's kind of doing a bit of the more of the backstage kind of tech thing. So welcome to this virtual space that we're in, and she'll be keeping an eye on the chat. So if you've got a camera, it would be great if we could see your faces, but understand that some of you might not have cameras or whatever. But we really want to try and make it as interactive as possible, and that's kind of why we make you sign in through My Health Learning and kind of try and control the numbers, because we really want you to have a bit of a taster of what appreciative inquiry is all about. So throughout all of these webinars, we've been using some appreciative inquiry tools and resources and getting you to really experience them. So it's a little bit of a taster about what appreciative inquiry is all about, and gives you a kind of to be thinking about how you might be able to kind of use it or live it, breathe it, whatever you want to do with appreciative inquiry within in your context, your work context. So yeah, like I say, great to see you, and welcome to this learning space around appreciative inquiry. So next slide, please, Lou. So we'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians on whose beautiful land we stand today. And we'd like to pay our respects to the elders, past, present and future, and any Aboriginal colleagues that we have with us here today. Next slide, please, Lou. So this is an appreciative inquiry resource that we would invite you to experience with us. It's called Trauma Trivia Joy. And we're going to ask you to share something, and we're going to be part of this as well. So I'll be sharing in a moment. So will Jules and Lou. Share something that in the last week has been maybe a trauma, so something that's been a bit tricky for you. A trivia, so something that might be puzzling you, and something that's giving you some joy. So this can be anything from work, whether it can be from home, and really you're in charge of what you share. So just feel like share whatever you'd like to share, and no more. We're going to make it a silent round. So what we would like you to do is to introduce yourself, share a trauma, trivia and a joy. And we're not going to discuss what's been shared, and then we're going to flick around the room. So I'll probably share first, and then I will throw to Jules, and we can go around that way, and she'll introduce herself. So I've already introduced myself once, but my name's Ali, Nurse Manager for Quality and Culture for the district. And a trauma for me is I've got 2 dogs, 2 golden retrievers. Having one, I thought it was a great idea to get another one, and now I'm starting to think, why did I do that? So he's a puppy, he's 1, and last night he came to the door just before I was going to bed, covered in dirt from head to foot. Anyway, I knew he'd dug a hole, but when I went to hang out the washing today, there was big 5 massive holes in my lawn. So it looks like we've had some kind of like giant moles invade our backyard. So he's just causing me a bit of trauma at the moment. A trivia. So something that's kind of puzzling me at the moment is I'm on secondment at the moment, and this secondment will finish in July, end of June, and I'm a bit puzzled about how I can bring the joy from this secondment into my old job, and all of the learnings and the people that I've worked with and all of that, how I might be able to intertwine it all. So that's puzzling me. I'm just trying to work out how I'm going to be able to do that, and I might not even know the answer until I start doing it anyway. So that's my trivia and my joy, and this could be a bit controversial because I know some people have got different opinions on this, was watching the coronation over the weekend, and I got so much joy from that, just watching all of the history and you know, however the top it was and the pompousness and like, oh, everything that it was just, yeah, I just don't have any words. It just gave me pure joy. So that's my trauma, trivia, and joy. So, Jules, I'll throw to you, please, if you'd like to share a trauma, a trivia, and a joy.
Thanks, Al. So I've already introduced myself. I won't bother doing that again. But I'd say my trauma is that I've just got a text come through from the dog groomers telling me my dog's ready to be picked up, and I was banking on that being when I finish work, and now I have to pretend that I haven't seen the message and not feel like a bad dog mum, leaving her, neglecting her at the dog groomers while I'm here at work. Dan, I know you appreciate that. The trivia, so the trivia can be something interesting about you, maybe an interesting fact you've learned or something about you. And the trivia for me, I've just started Zumba, and it's all kinds of hysterical, wonderful, and really quite free in listening to the music. My kids think it's the most mortifying thing in the whole wide world, but there you go. Never too old to try something new. And I think the joy for me, I think, was going out the other night with a group of friends, and I just love that moment when you first get together and you've all got a glass of wine in your hand, food around you, and you're just so excited to be together that there's cheersing and joy and just so much excitement just in the conversations and the connectedness, because it can be quite hard bringing people together sometimes in our busy lives. Lou, would you like to go next?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. My trauma at the moment is my car because it's absolutely filthy. And every time I get in it, I just keep thinking, right, I need to go and get this cleaned. But then I keep, getting caught up doing other things. So it is absolutely a weekend job this weekend. But yeah, like it's getting to the point where I'm a bit like apologetic if someone has to get in my car or avoid giving anyone a lift because it's just full of like post-its and masks and all the things that, anyway, it's given me stress. Trivia about me. Some of you may already know that I started my soccer career. So I'm now in my third season, and I started playing for a new team this year, and I got Woman of the Match, which I was delighted about. So that was a nice spring in my step. And a joy for me actually happened today when I come across a photograph of a giant Yorkshire pudding with all of the Sunday roast trimmings inside it, covered in gravy. And it's in a place called Foresters in Surrey Hills. I've already texted about 4 friends and said we need this in our life. So that is going to be in my near future. But I as soon as I saw it, I lit up. So yeah, give it a look, Foresters. But it just looks absolutely delicious. So what I might do is actually just throw it out to you guys, and then once you finish sharing, if you throw it back to someone else within the space. So I'm going to throw to Kay because you looked really happy about the Yorkshire pudding.
Absolutely. It's the best thing. I can't wait to go there. A trauma. Sorry, Lou, somebody just interrupted when you were talking, so I'm not too sure what you said, but I have a feeling that it might have been similar to my trauma. My car is filthy and it needs a wash. And I'm just, every day I get into it, I'm mortified and embarrassed, and I'm just expecting somebody to write on it, please clean me. And that will just even mortify me even more. That's my massive trauma at the moment. My trivia, and it can be my joy as well, if I can team them two together. I go home in 4 weeks tomorrow, and I haven't been home since pre-COVID, and I'm now beginning to burst at the seams, and I can't wait to see my mummy and my daddy and give them a hug, and I can't wait. So I'm combined those two, and I'm going to throw out to Dan.
Thanks. Okay, I'm very excited to hear that you're going home for a holiday. That brought me some joy. Hi everyone, I'm Dan Shaw, I'm Nurse Manager Patient Experience. Trauma for me is my current lack of motivation to get out of bed and exercise, and it is haunting me. So that's something that's really causing a whole bunch of trauma for me at the moment. It's frustrating me. And then a trivia. I can read backwards. I'm going to put that out there as something that not many people know about me, and something that brings me joy. On the weekend, my little niece, who recently turned 1, started saying my name for the first time, which was really lovely. And my reaction was to burst into tears. So full of joy. It's lovely. And I'm going to throw over to Janelle.
Hi, I'm Janelle from the Royal Hospital for Women, and I work in infection prevention and control. So that's been a fun ride over the last few years. My trauma was going to a friend's funeral yesterday, so that was a little bit sad. One of our friendship groups. So yeah, he passed away much sooner than he should have. But on the flip side of that, in attending his funeral, it was a good opportunity to meet up with lots of people that we hadn't seen before. And that also brought a lot of joy, reminiscing about some of the antics we got up to and some of the wonderful memories we have of this person. So it was a bit of a bittersweet day yesterday. And trivia reminded me when everybody was talking about the coronation, is I still remembered how to play God Save the King, or was God Save the Queen when I played it, on the recorder when I was from school. So that's a good bit of trivia, I think, for everybody. And I would like to throw to, I can't see many names, Fionnuala.
Thank you. Sorry to hear that your friend passed away. I don't have anything traumatic that's happened to me for the last week. Trivia. I don't know. Got a Pilates ball delivered today, which I'm excited about, and a joy is that I'll get to use it tomorrow when I'm working out from home. Thank you. Sorry, I don't know anyone here. Andrew.
Thanks, Fionnuala. We're, as a group, we're in, sorry, my name's Andrew Lawson. I'm work in physiotherapy at Sutherland Hospital. And as a group of allied health at Sutherland, we're dealing with the loss of one of our colleagues over here. So we've got, very sadly, got her funeral tomorrow. And the trivia is how we're navigating that. But so far, everyone is coming together very well and supporting each other and looking out for each other, which is great to see, which is a joy in itself. But very sad because she leaves behind a young family. But the other joy in my life at the moment is that I've just submitted my PhD thesis last week. So feel like a massive weight has been lifted, and that's given me a fair bit of joy at the moment. Now I might pass to Christine.
Hello, everybody. My name's Christine Harris. I'm the Nurse Manager of Education here at Calvary Hospital. My trauma, I would say at the moment, is all the leaves from the liquid amber tree that I rake every other day. Trivia, I suppose the most trivial, well, probably the most trivial thing I've done this past week is rearrange where the food sits in the kitchen cupboard. which is pretty trivial. And joy, I would say, is the how warm the ocean is to still swim.
It's having me back
each week. It's still the temperature is above 22 degrees, so you can go to the beach for a swim, and it might be like 15 or 16 degrees in the morning, but the water temperature is beautiful. So highly recommend. And my other joy is my colleague who's been off for 4 weeks is back today. So I will pass over to Leanne, who's sitting in the room.
Hi everyone, I'm Leanne. I'm the nurse educator here with Chris at Calvary Hospital. My trauma is that we've just got a new puppy, and I think I don't know why I've done this just after holidays. So I've had a sleepless night just getting off the plane and then picking up a puppy. And but yeah, look, I'm sure that goes into the joy situation too. But yeah, at the moment it's just getting it settled and getting some sleep. So catching up with that. The trivia is probably just getting through all my emails after a month of being off and trying to catch up and try and get my head back into work mode rather than being in Hawaii. My joy is probably seeing my kids just absolutely loving the puppy, and because we lost our dog just before Christmas, so it's just like a new addition to the family, and they just, you know, are overwhelmed with the whole thing. So that's my joy that I've got as well, even though I'm tired, but it's the joy. So who have I got online that we can Sky? Over to Sky.
Hi, I'm Sky Sadakowski, one of the physios in the pain clinic at Prince of Wales Hospital. My trauma was having to do a presentation yesterday for a big group of people and being somewhat underprepared, but anyway, managed to get through that. My trivia, well, it ends up not being so much trivia, but I've got a whippet. All this talk of dogs. He always manages to stand up at inopportune moments when I'm in these sorts of meetings. And my joy was going out to some live comedy on Sunday. Good to get some belly laughs going. And is there anyone? Oh, Ruth, have you been as yet?
No, I came in a bit late. Thank you. My trauma. I was having a moment of trauma with Mother's Day coming up because my kids have all moved out, and I was thinking, are they going to remember? Are they going to do anything? So then my trivia and joy was that one of my sons took me to Guardians of the Galaxy with him and his wife on Sunday night, because that's something we have always done together. It's watch the Marvel movies as they come out. And then today, my younger son said, Mum, I booked 4DX tickets to Guardians of the Galaxy tonight. So I'm going to see it again in 4D. So I've not only had it once, I've had it twice. So that's a joy. Has everyone been, because I came on late, has Michelle been? No, Michelle. I'm going to pass to Michelle.
Thanks, Ruth. Well, I haven't had a really significant trauma, but I did have a small one this morning, in that I had to tick the over 65 box for the very first time in my life when I went to have my flu shot and was singled out for a special dose. So that was just a little tiny trivial. Yeah, look at that. So trivia, my orchid at home, which I thought was about to die, is actually starting to produce a new leaf. So I don't know whether that's its last ditch stand or what it's up to, but we'll see. And my joy is that, like Ruth, last week I actually got to go to the Compassion Train the Trainer session with Mary Freer. So that was really a joy. So it's me. And I don't think Cynthia, is Cynthia still with us? So I'm going to throw to Cynthia. Maybe she's not here anymore.
I think she's just on mute.
Yeah. Cynthia, if you're on mute, you're up.
Unless she's on another meeting.
Or maybe, yeah.
Shall we throw to Lisa?
Yeah, I was just thinking, I'm looking at the list. I don't think we've heard from Lisa. So Lisa, I'm throwing to you.
Thanks very much. Hi, I'm Lisa. I'm the manager of CTICU at Prince of Wales. And trauma, I'll continue on the dog theme. I have a very scruffy mini Groodle at home, and he's kind of embarrassing at this point. So it's funny, as I sat down, I just saw on the shared calendar that my husband booked him in for grooming. So I'm very, very happy about that. Trivia, I like to cook a lot, and this weekend I've chosen a Guinness stew for my mother-in-law to cook for her for Mother's Day. And joy, I just found out this morning that I'm doing this challenge at the gym, and 3 weeks in I'm leading, so I'm pretty happy about that. That's my lot.
Hi, I'm ready to talk now. I was typing before, so I couldn't find the screen. Can you hear me? You
Yep.
can't hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yep.
Thanks,
Okay.
Cynthia.
Sorry. Okay, so I'm Cindy. I'm a registered nurse in the COVID Community Management Centre with telehealth, and we also do the heart failure now. We call those patients at home. It's well, it's a trauma. We could probably say there's been quite a few sick friends in my group of the last few weeks, but I haven't been able to be in contact with them because my husband got COVID. So I've been working from home, which is not my favourite place to be. And now I've caught it and my daughter's caught it. So we're stuck at home, but at least I can work and I've got plenty of sick leave if I need to take it. But it has been kind of challenging trying to find a space to work while I'm sort of keeping everybody else safe as well. I was due to go back to work today and I haven't gone back into the office. So that's my drama for the time being. Joy, well, I anticipated I think I've lost my camera. Have I lost my camera? No? Can you see me?
I can half see you.
I don't know where that's gone. Yeah, I can't see it myself now. Never mind. It's all right. It's just because I keep going to different screens. Anyhow, I've lost everything now. So I literally bought myself a Mother's Day gift in case I didn't get what I wanted. It's a box of aromatherapy supplies. Trivia. I can't think what's trivial at the moment. No, can't think of a trivial one.
Thank you. I think we've all shared now, haven't we? Well, thank you, everyone. Thanks for sharing. So I'm just wondering what your thoughts are of that resource. Is there anything that you liked about it?
I really think that it's a good way of, you know, when I first saw it, I went, oh, you know, that's quite confronting. But look at how people were actually willing to choose what they were able to share, whether that was something that was quite deep or something that was a little bit on the lighter side, but still choosing to open up to each other. So I think that is valuable in being able to do that.
Yeah. Thanks, Ruth.
Another great trauma is the two of you not going to be doing this much longer.
We'll still see you. We'll still all work together, I'm sure. Yeah.
Oh.
Anything else? Was that you, Dan? Were you gonna say something?
Thanks, Al. I think I really like the tool, and what I really noticed in the room was that people felt really safe to share some really personal things, and I thought that was it was really, I think, nice to hear that people feel comfortable to share things that maybe aren't so positive or lighthearted, and that it was really lovely to, rather than just pick one and focus on a trauma, you went through all three. So you may have started with something that was hard, but we ended on something that was quite light and made us happy.
Yeah, thanks, Dan.
Can I ask a question? Sorry. I'm just curious, Dan, around the safety element, and I'm just wondering if there's anything that enabled you to feel safe to share, or that you think enabled or like created that safety.
I think it was, I'm not sure, but I think it's probably some people have been in this space over the last couple of webinars. So I think maybe that has built the safety, but also I think just people being courageous. And I think that enables others to feel safe in being vulnerable and courageous.
I think too, being online also helped because there's that little bit of distance there. For me, sharing about the funeral, I think that made it a little bit safer as well. It wasn't as confronting admitting to that than if you were in a room full of people, because I probably wouldn't have brought that up at that stage. Still a bit too raw.
Well, thank you, and thanks for sharing. Another, so I think it's a good resource as well to, like you say, help build some connection. We get to know each other a little bit more, and we're in charge of what we share. So, you know, we don't have to feel like we're pressured into sharing something that we don't want to share. And also, it can be used as a resource to kind of bring people into the space, so they can kind of like a brain dump, so they can dump everything that has been going on in the space before or what's on their mind, so that they can feel more present and able to be in this new space, like the space that we're in at this moment in time. So it's a good resource for that too. And that's why we chose it as an opener for this webinar today. Great, next slide, please, Lou. And it's over to you, Jules. Thanks.
Yeah, and I guess just drawing on from that activity, with the theme of today being we work with people, not on people. So I guess even the approaches of the way we've introduced that as an opener is very much we're trying to work with you, not on. So I guess the working with is in our sharing first and our sharing with you, rather than, I guess, a working on approach would just be expecting you all to share and enabling you to be in control of what you share. I guess they're just examples of how the working with people weave in to the way, I guess, we implement or utilize some of the resources. So some of you have been with us for all 7 webinars, and for some of you it's actually your first, so welcome. I won't talk too long about this, but we talked a lot about appreciative inquiry. We call it AI, but conscious that AI can mean different things to within very different contexts. But what is it? It's really what it says there. So I guess it originated with David Cooper-Ryder in the I just want to acknowledge it originated with David Cooper-Ryder in the 1980s, and we're using the adapted work of Belinda Dewar from Scotland, who's really taken it into the healthcare setting. And AI is really a strengths-based methodology. It's a change methodology, and it looks to explore and understand on a more deeper level what matters to people, what people value, what's currently working well and why, and exploring ways together to kind of to further enhance an experience, a person's experience or an experience in some way, shape or form. There's two concepts of AI that make it a little bit different to other methodologies like practice development, and that is generativity. So the generativity is about enabling people to see things with fresh eyes, thinking outside the box. And the other factor is provocation. So it's around being open to surprises and using tools. You notice the tools sometimes a little bit have a bit of a quirky edge, and that's really around creating surprises to think that little bit differently, considering things outside the norm, I guess, to open up a bit more. And I guess, you know, although it's a strengths based and it seems quite positive, we just want to stress that it's not fake positivity. It's not pretending that things aren't great, but it's more around you know, we weave in the principles of what you focus on grows and expands. So it's trying to move people from a place of being stuck and enabling them to move forward, energizing them, creating a bit of excitement. yeah, and building that momentum so that you're constantly, I guess, moving forward, but acknowledging that things are tricky, but what can we do to help you in that situation? And there is a strong element of relationship-centered care and developing and deepening relationships, because we know when we have strong relationships, it enables a really positive workplace culture and a culture where everyone benefits: patients, staff, visitors. That's probably enough talking. Next slide, please, Lou. And I guess so there's seven grounding statements, which is what we've based all of our webinars on, and these we've interweave together. And the grounding statements are what guide us in our approach. It's what underpins appreciative inquiry methodology, and the kind of self-explanatory. We've explored them in more depth throughout the webinars, but definitely what's really strong theme is working with people, not on. What we focus on grows and expands. So if we're constantly looking for problems, we'll find more of them. If we explore the things that are working well, then we can do more of those things more of the time. And I guess that enables people to come along with you, and it's more empowering. So we're the experts of our own experience. We're all from very diverse backgrounds, clinically, but also personally, and we all bring that into our roles every day and shapes the lens we put on and the ways that we interact. And as each of us are all experts of our own experience. Curious questions are an action in themselves. So curiosity is central to appreciative inquiry, to enable us to get deeper. We can't change other people, and by changing ourselves, others may respond differently. And stories, we're doing a lot of data capturing at the moment using stories, and they really are what captures you and helps us learn and really connect with what we care about. And language is also a central theme in appreciative inquiry. So that attention to language and using language that energizes, excites, innovates, and helps us finding a way forward. Next slide, please, Lou. And I guess the caring conversations are the how. Is the how of being appreciative. So the C's, we call them. So celebrating, and I won't read out all of the strap lines because I don't want to focus too much time on that, but that curiosity, considering other perspectives, becoming courageous. People talked about the courage to share, even in that first in our opener, in our icebreaker, the courage to share, but sometimes it's the courage to have those hard conversations, compromise. And I think one thing I've learned with the caring conversations, at the heart of it is curiosity, and it weaves in and out of all of it, but it's what enables us to get deeper. And it's the caring conversations doesn't necessarily mean a nicey conversation. Sometimes those caring conversations are tricky conversations, but what lies at the heart of them is the intention of care. It could be giving feedback, but the intention is a caring approach to enable that person's growth or whatever it is. So yeah. Next slide, Lou. So the theme of today is working with people, not on people. And we've got this resource called a Spark Card, which has also come from the work of Belinda Dewar. And there's a strapline at the top that says, because of our passion, and it can be for anything. So because of our passion, sometimes for something, it can be easy to take the stance of talking at others in a way that aims to convince them that they need to feel the same way about that thing as we do. And I'm just wondering, when you hear that or read that, I'm wondering whether there's a story that comes to mind of a time when you've been so passionate about something that you've really tried to convince someone and almost, working on them. And I wonder if anyone would like to share that story, because we'd love to hear it. Michelle, you were leaning forward. I thought you were getting ready to unmute. Were you? No.
I can do. I was just having a bit of a chuckle because when I read that, it was like my orientation session that I gave to the medical students.
Oh, go for it. Do you want to tell us a bit more about it?
Well, there's just a lot of things that they, probably should know coming into an environment like this for the first time. And I do feel quite passionate about it. It's hard when it's online like this because you're not picking up the cues, and it's much harder to ask a question because just like then, everybody tends to remain silent or can remain silent. So, yeah, I feel very much it was more or less talking at them than engaging them to bring their own experiences sort of into a session like that. But there are also things that I do need to cover from a mandatory point of view.
And I just wonder whether, like reflecting on that and that experience, I'm wondering if there's anything, if you're in that moment again, anything that would help you, I guess, move away from the working on.
Yeah, it's about finding ways to engage them and to get their interest, such as like doing a demonstration of putting, like you're dressing your PPE and put some paint on, and shake hands and see how the imagery of conferring different germs can be when you're just shaking hands, for example. And I think that's a bit of a more of a visual. It's a bit more interactive.
And because you talked about like they were, experts, I guess, of their own experience, not in so many words. And I'm just wondering whether there's anything that would help you tap into what experiences they're bringing, I guess, into that session, or.
Yeah, possibly. I've been doing orientation with medical students for a long time, and I find that they're really quite difficult to engage. They tend to remain very quiet and don't tend to say a lot, even when you're doing face to face. So I haven't quite unpicked or been able to find a way to sort of stimulate them to sort of open up to any great extent. They're very closed, and I don't quite know how to unclose them, to speak. Yeah.
Lovely. And I guess, yeah, I'm just wondering, just for everyone who's been listening and maybe had some time to look at those possible questions, whether anything jumps out at anyone that they wanted to share.
I have a question. So just in hearing what you were sharing, Janelle, and like just noticing language. So when you first sort of opened up, you said there's a lot of things that the medical students should know. And then you talked about sort of the silence and how, it can be a bit tricky. And then you find yourself in a space talking at them. And I'm just wondering how other people feel around being in those spaces where there is silence. If anybody would like to sort of share any more around that.
I'm happy to take any tips.
I'll share mine. I count for 10 seconds, and I have to consciously do that to help me. I find virtual is easier because I have a mute button that actually stops me sometimes from jumping in. But I'll count for 10, which was my plan in this part today.
I must have come in at number 9, did I?
I think you're right on 10. Actually, I didn't count this time. I was just going with it.
I have even been known to take lollies into the session and kind of, or a little, if I've got a little something left over from a conference, and sort of offer a little bit of a reward for that. So for speaking up and giving an answer. Try and make it fun, but yeah, it's a bit of a dry topic sometimes. Michelle, you have a question? Your hand up?
No, I was just going to make a comment that I think sometimes, yes, as Julie said, leave a little space, because sometimes it takes people a while to come up with whatever. But sometimes turning it back on the people in the room and saying, well, this is the topic we're talking about today. Does anyone have any, insights they'd like to share with the rest of the group, or does anyone want to share any experiences? I mean, it depends what you're talking about. Hand hygiene is a very hard one, and I think the technique of using glitter bug or something to share bugs all around the room is actually quite useful because it makes people laugh as much as anything else. But, you know, sometimes actually inviting them to speak and bring their perspective will do the trick. Just really depends on the topic, though.
Mm. I had thought about putting Glitterbug on the pen that they sign in on the sign-on sheet and seeing how then that shows up around the room.
Yeah, good technique. I did that with a group of cleaners and got one of them to put a pair of gloves on because, you know, cleaners put their gloves on all day. And I put Glitterbug on, and then at the end of the session, I turned out the lights just to see where he'd managed to spread the Glitterbug through the 20-minute session. That was, and everyone had a good laugh, so that was cool. He was laughing as well, so it was okay. That's all I've got to add. Sorry.
Thanks,
I'm off.
Michelle. I think for me, when I first read that strapline and experienced this, it made me realise that sometimes my passion does get in the way. And it was interesting, even we recently got to work with Belinda Dewar and watch her facilitate a workshop. And one thing I noticed, I think for me, it's AI that I feel really passionate about. And I think when I'm in conversation, the grounding statements really jump out at me. In what I hear, it just sounds really obvious, and I like to often link that in to what people are saying and link the grounding statements because I feel so passionate about it. But I noticed she didn't do that. And I think, yeah, it made me realize, oh, I think my passion sometimes makes me work on people with in that approach. And I think what really helps me shift from that is just bringing it back to curiosity. And those caring conversations, but especially instead of maybe making assumptions or that they even care, it's getting curious around the things that really matters to them. Anything anyone else would like to add? Lou, go for it. I can see you. I can see it. I can see it.
I'm on tech, but I'm just thinking around as well, like what you said there, Jules, around the curiosity. And it's just, you know, thinking about where does that curiosity sit? Like, when does it sit with ourselves? Because I'm just thinking around why sometimes we feel the need to fill the silence. And that's often a question that if I'm truly trying to think about working with and not on, what's happening for me in those moments where I feel like I need to fill that silence or make people get what I'm trying to say, or they have to sort of think what I think. And that's just something that, yeah, I'm curious around for other people as well, because for me, sitting with the kind of grounding statements as a reflection tool for self and asking myself those questions, it kind of sits in that space of how much is enough and who makes the decision around the learning or what people take away. So if you really think about that grounding statement of we can't change other people, we can only change sort of how we approach things and our response. I think that's been quite freeing is maybe what I'm trying to say. Doesn't happen all the time, but I try.
Shall we go to the next slide?
Mm-hmm. Just put myself on mute.
So thanks everyone. So coming towards the end now of the webinar, and as way of a summation, I suppose, I'm going to read this poem to you. I'm hoping I can do it justice. Here we go with my Yorkshire accent. So it's called Turning to One Another by Margaret Wheatley. There is no power greater than a community discovering what it cares about. Ask what's possible, not what's wrong, and keep asking. Notice what you care about. Assume that many others share your dreams. Be brave enough to start a conversation that matters. Talk to people you know. Talk to people you don't know. Talk to people you never talk to. Be intrigued by the differences you hear. Expect to be surprised. Treasure curiosity more than certainty. Inviting everybody who cares to work on what's possible. Acknowledge that everyone is an expert about something. Know that creative solutions come from new connections. Remember, you don't fear people whose story you know. Real listening always brings people closer together. Trust that meaningful conversations can change your world. Rely on human goodness. Stay together. So I know some people, it's the first time that they might have heard about Appreciative Inquiry today. And for some of you, this might be webinar number 7. But we'd just like you to have a think about, is there anything following these webinars or hearing about Appreciative Inquiry that you will do differently, that has made you think differently? And as way as a closing round, maybe we can share. I really love that poem because I feel like it's the essence of Appreciative Inquiry. And like Jules, I'm pretty passionate about it too. And it's just really, I think it's just about that. For me, it's just really understanding that it's the humans in this complex system that we're working in the hospital. It's complex humans and complex systems, and we're really all trying to do our best in the best way that we can. And I think it's about being kind to ourselves, being kind to one another, and like this connection, and not assuming that you know what the other person's all about, or it's about it's about that connection, and that's digging deeper in the questions that you can ask to build that connection. Maybe I'll throw to Lou.
Yeah, for me, this poem, I think, really resonates around like what you said, Ali, that essence of appreciative inquiry, but also the essence of that relationship, and what that makes possible, and encouraging me, I guess, to ask more questions and to build that curiosity muscle. And when we talk about curiosity, it's further than just the seeking of facts and information. It's genuine curiosity to understand about people, their stories, and I guess a big part of that as well is sharing your own story. And I think that's something that I'm going to continue to do. And make it more of a conscious effort to really tap into people's stories more so, and try and, I guess, work on that genuine curiosity that is not something that just happens. You gotta work on it. So yeah, I love that poem. What about you, Jules?
Yeah, I love the poem, and I think different things really jump out at me every time I read it. It's almost like it's never the same. And I guess I'm just probably reflecting more on the webinar today. And I loved, there's a few things that jump out, and it's the treasure curiosity more than certainty. And I think from a facilitation space, that's one thing doing this work that I've really strengthened, rather than previously perhaps sitting in a space feeling like I needed to be the expert in everything, and needing to be across and in control of everything, the way everything went. Whereas I've just really honoured the curiosity and comfort in going wherever it needs to go. But the other thing that is jumping out at me today, reflecting on the webinar, is that the acknowledgement that everyone's an expert about something. And I love that. I was just thinking, I guess, Janelle, in what you were sharing, and just that remembering that, I'm not saying this, that you've just made me think about my own, when I'm in a facilitation space or interacting with people, remembering to honour that, the expertise that that person brings, and the knowledge, and experiences that they bring into that space, and finding ways to tap into that and honour that. Yeah, probably, yeah, what I'm sitting here thinking about moving forward. Are we going to pick? Are we all going to share something? Will I pick? Michelle, you were like one of the last to go last time. Do you want to go? Do you want to share something? This is your first webinar with us, I think, or have you done another one? No, I think
No,
you did another one.
I've done another one, but
Yeah.
I've, you know, often you have other commitments, so you can't come to the webinars. I think for me, when I think about appreciative inquiry, one of the things in this particular poem that I think is really important is the rely on human goodness. It's the sort of underpinning principle that, you know, there's the positive in the world rather than, you know, the what's wrong. And I think in healthcare sometimes there's a lot of focus on this is going wrong, that's going wrong, you know, why aren't people doing the right thing, without recognizing that, and I think someone else actually said this, that most healthcare workers that come to work actually come to work to make a difference and to make things better, which is, you know, I think part of the underpinning idea behind human goodness. And it's so easy when you're listening to audit results and IMS reports to forget the motivation of the people that you work with. Yeah. Might throw to who's still here. Dan, I might throw to you.
Thanks, Michelle. I think when for me, it's really just picking up on what Lou shared around that curiosity and being curious within ourselves, and so it's that inward curiosity with ourselves and understanding, and that external or that outward curiosity with others, and understanding what matters to others, and just something as simple as listening and hearing what other people are saying can really make such a difference and create such wonderful connections. So I'm going to throw over to Sky.
Thanks, Dan. I guess I'm reading this poem from a clinician's perspective, you know, a clinician who works with patients who have persistent pain. And there's a few lines here that really resonate with me. I suppose I feel like, you know, I need to do a lot of asking what's wrong for lots of reasons, because that's often what the patient expects from us, and that's often what guides our treatments. But we then work very quickly on getting to working with the patient on what's possible. And we do that through that, you know, that real listening. So that line there that sort of says real listening always brings people closer together resonates with me. And we often hear from our patients, you know, after we've done our initial assessment, no one has sat down with me before and, you know, really taken the time to really deeply understand what's going on for me. And they really, really appreciate that. And whilst that initial assessment is a lot of asking about what's wrong, it's setting the scene for, getting into all of the other stuff. And a lot of that is fueled by curiosity to really understand what's going on for the person in front of you and not making assumptions. Yes, I like this. Thanks. I'll pass, who else is left? I'll pass to Lisa.
Thank you. The poem, it speaks really deeply to me, and I think both on a personal and professional level. And I think professionally, as a manager, you're really trying to be a modern leader and listen to people, understand who you have working for you and with you, and engage with them to a certain extent. And I've kind of found it helps much better bring people on the journey and improving the patient experience as a result. And just personally, just even reading these things is just so reassuring, you know, about having, you know, about real listening and meaningful conversations, and that, you know, by kind of being that way naturally, you know, you don't have to be the person at the top of the room, extrovert and, out there, you know, it's the meaningful interactions that matter in life, and personally, it's reassuring to read that. So I might throw to Christine.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, when looking at the poem and even the whole appreciative inquiry model, in my mind, it's kind of like adopting a model of, or like a bit of a stance of the art of not knowing things, so that we don't come with our preconceived ideas about something. We come as though we know nothing. And just looking at some of those things in that poem, for example, remember, you don't fear people whose stories you know. Well, the only way you get to know a story is if you ask and you bother and you have the position that you don't know. Even things like assume that many others share your dreams. Well, you can find that out if you bother to ask questions. Same with talking to people you don't know, talking to people that you do know, talking to people you never talk to. It's all a position of not knowing and expecting to find something out rather than coming to tell. So that's what I think I take away from the whole appreciative inquiry thing. The whole idea of adopting a stance or I don't know, and therefore how do I get information? And it's then, you know, conversations, and it's asking lots of questions. So I don't know, has anyone not had a turn? I don't know who's left over. Oh,
Cindy and Janelle.
Janelle, yeah, at the top of my screen.
Yes, I know I've had a good speak today, so it didn't really mind. But for the one that spoke to me was invite everybody who cares to work on what's possible. So working with those that are open to that change and open to looking at what's possible, and allowing those that are probably not ready in that space to come along when they're ready. So I thought that was pretty powerful. And also the fact that real listening always brings people closer together. And I think it's really important to, you know, actively listen to others and find out, coming back around to that story as well, and see where they're at. Thank you. And was it Lisa was still knitting?
I think Cindy.
Cindy, sorry. Cindy?
Cynthia.
Oh, she's lost all. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
All right. Oh, well, thank you, everybody. Next slide, Lou. Thanks. You've all been really wonderful. We're coming to the end of the webinar now and the end of the webinar series. But like I say, we've recorded this session and the other recordings on YouTube. So we'll share a link to that in the next slide. But we'd really value your feedback. So there's just there's an evaluation QR code there. So if you've got the time to spare, just shouldn't take you very long. We would love your feedback. And then we'll share the resource for the rest of the recordings, the webinars, which are on the South East Sydney Local Health District YouTube channel. And I'll just share whilst, because Cynthia lost the power to speak on virtually, so she's just put in the chat that the line about inviting people, spoke loudly to her.
Can I be heard? I think I found the icon.
Yes, you can. Well done.
Oh my God. I think I've got so many windows open. Working with a small screen at home and working with COVID not being too clever in the brain, not a good idea. Look, that one about inviting in everybody who cares to work on what's possible really spoke to me around the bit about what's possible, because until you invite other people in, you've no idea what's possible from their point of view. And you get great insights from that.
Thanks, Cynthia. And also just adding on to that, when you were saying that, it resonated with me as well, because it sits very much in that space of we can make assumptions that people should be doing what we want them to do,
Yes. Oh God,
which
yes.
is, you know, which is that trying to convince people and working on them.
Yeah,
Whereas when
yeah,
we go with the energy and we invite people in, and we
yes, yeah,
focus on that energy and create that movement, like Jules said earlier, it energizes us, and then it brings more people on board, and we're looking for what's possible, not all that we have to be super positive and greet each other with a slice of niceness.
And look, sometimes we don't think we're possible and that something is something we're capable of until we do it.
Exactly. It's about stretching ourselves as well.
Mm-hmm.
The next slide, Lou, I think, and then that's the link to the webinars there.
Got it, yeah.
All right. What's
Great.
after that?
And
So,
just the links to some resources, so some additional resources there. So a lot of the resources, all of the resources that we've used, as Jules said, were by Belinda Dewar, and you can find them on her website there, My Home Life Scotland. So she's got lots of tools, free tools for resources for use. So you can find them there. So that's the top link. And then the one at the bottom is the South East Sydney Local Health District Nursing and Midwifery internet site. So there's plenty of resources in there that you can use as well. So thank you. Thanks, everybody. And thanks for being part of the webinars. And thanks, Louise and Jules, for joining me with this.
yeah, thanks, Ali. And just also, if anybody specifically wants to contact us or email us around a resource or something that they can't find, feel free. We're always more than happy to be contacted if you want to reach out to us.
Thank you so much. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
all of your sharing as well. It's the sharing that really makes this. Otherwise, it'd be just us talking, and that's us working on you. All the best, everyone. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.